What's good, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Boy, I tell you, we had an historical Saturday of boxing of epic proportions. And if you're a boxing fan, this is what you crave for. This is what you live for great fights like we saw last night. And in this video here, I'm going to break down each fight in its chronological order. We're going to talk about Claressa Shields and her dominant performance against Savannah Marshall. Then we'll talk about Devin Haney cruising along against George Kambosos, and also the return of the king, Deontay Wilder. And I will say that he really touched the hearts of many fans after the fight. But I'll get to that later on. But first, I wanted to personally say, isn't it great to be a boxing fan? I mean, I know the sport has been really giving us the royal screw jobs, you know, historically. We all know that. But anytime when they can put on, these kind of fights like what we saw on Saturday, it just leaves you smiling and always wanting more. And so, you know, it was just a great relief to see all three of these, individuals, at their craft, at their best, and showing why they're the best in boxing. I mean, it's an unbelievable time. And the camaraderie and the brotherhood that these fan bases have for these fighters is just unbelievable. And I am very, very grateful for what we saw. But let's talk about the first fight. Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. Now, heading into this fight, I really felt that, Claressa Shields was heading into hostile territory because she was going to the UK, and the UK was still on a bit on the emotional side a bit after they experienced the death of the Queen. I'm not going to go too much into that, and many people felt that Savannah Marshall was just too big against Claressa Shields, but when that first bell rang, I mean, Claressa Shields turned it on. I mean, the way she was dominating against Savannah Marshall was just beautiful. She was, putting up excellent punch output and always kept, you know, Savannah Marshall on the back foot. And Savannah Marshall, had some of her moments, but she never really, got into the flow of the fight. And Claressa Shields, anytime when, she turned it on like a true champ. And there were so many questions about her ability to face against a bigger opponent, and she shut that question down to bed. And she's pretty much showing you that she is the greatest women's fighter of all time. She's become the first women's fighter in any era to become undisputed in three different weight classes. Not even Layla Ali or Ann Wolfe has even accomplished that. Even Cecilia Brækhus too. And many people still feel that Cecilia Brækhus is still the greatest women's fighter of all time. But I hate to break the news to you. Claressa Shields is breaking records left and right, and she is on a different level that no one has ever seen before. And it's going to be very hard for anybody in that women's division to try to knock her off. And the emotion I saw from her, when she won the fight was just, it showed how much she really cared about the sport of boxing and how much time and dedication she puts in there. And I really felt that this was her crowning moment. And now nobody can question her abilities. Nobody can question her intellect. Nobody can question her at all. She is the best women's fighter in all of boxing by far. And salute to the Savannah Marshall. She put up a really good fight. But to be honest with you, it reminded me a lot of when Floyd Mayweather faced against Diego Corrales. When Floyd Mayweather went up to face against Diego Corrales at 135, 140. I think it was 135. And so many people felt that the taller and stronger Diego Corrales was going to, overwhelm the smaller and faster Floyd Mayweather. But that night, Floyd Mayweather showed unbelievable speed, ring generalship, punching, power, everything. And that's what I saw out of Claressa Shields. And so, really, in watching that fight, it was just unbelievable to see what the dimensions of her game just fully realized to the entire, globe. And whoever was going to step in the ring with her, you're going to have a long night ahead of you to try to beat her. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to Claressa Shields. She did an outstanding job. All right. Number 2, Devin the Dream Haney against George Kambosos. And honestly, I really was not highly on that rematch because after what I saw in the first fight and the second time around, I just felt the same way. Although I will say that there was some, tiny bit of moments of adversity for Devin Haney, especially when he got head butted, and got that cut on that eye. But all that did was just unleash an entire different, dimension of Devin Haney that is just scary to see. And what the scary part is that when you got guys like Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, those guys, and even Lomachenko. Yes, I'm putting Lomachenko in that list. All these guys that were ducking this man, and now you've seen why this man is the most dangerous man at 135. And at this point right now, I think Devin Haney is better off, going up to 140. And I will say, I would stay at 140 and keep the belts at 135. Make those other guys come up to 140 or make them see him at 135 to make the fights. Because if here's the scenario. If Devin Haney vacates all the belts and the other guys at 135 catches the same belts Devin Haney had, it's going to confirm what many people in the boxing community believe, that all of them guys that I named were ducking Devin Haney. I mean, the bottom line is Devin Haney, he doesn't have to knock you out. He has enough power to really pretty much embarrass you and beat you down for the full 12 rounds. And George Kambosos literally had no answers to figure out Devin Haney. All he did, right jab, left jab, right hand. And this time around, Devin Haney used more of the right hand in the fight. And George Kambosos just could not figure it out. You know what I mean? Remember, he fired his whole team leading up to the fight, thinking that a whole different team would pretty much, help his fortunes. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter who you bring in on your team. Skills pay the bills. And the bottom line is, Devin Haney was just superiorly skilled than George Kambosos. He's more skilled than pretty much any other fighter at 135 to 140. And this is a guy that's going to be making his way to 147 in the near future. And I promise you, the future mega fight is going to be Shakur Stevenson versus Devin the Dream Haney. And I promise you, that's going to be a fight of epic proportions. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to Devin Haney and his father, Bill Haney, too. They did a really excellent job of preparing for this fight again. And they just unleashed the entire arsenal on George Kambosos, and there was nothing much he could do to beat him. And so now George Kambosos is pretty much back to where he, originally started before he beat Teofimo Lopez. But the thing that really irked me was just the commentary. They tried so hard to try to paint the picture that, George Kambosos was still in the fight, which in actuality, he was never in the fight. Even after, Devin Haney had the cut on his eye, he started piecing up George Kambosos and started busting him up and started making him bleed too, even worse. And George Kambosos, I will give him credit. He didn't quit. He just continued on fighting, but he got torn up in the process. So, and honestly, I saw him winning at least 10 rounds or 11 rounds. I never saw George Kambosos nowhere near in the fight. And so, it just is what it is. But congratulations to Devin the Dream Haney, and what a wonderful performance by him. And he's going to continue to do great things in boxing. Now to the main event at hand here. Yes, the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder making his return to the ring against Robert Helenius and the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And also salute to the LDBC brothers who are out there watching the fight out there in Brooklyn. Y'all know who y'all are. And they showed out and really showed major love for the champ. And I'm going to tell you this. I was very much anxious of how Wilder was going to look, after the whole trilogy with Tyson Fury. And he came in at 214 in his natural weight, which is perfect for him. Whenever he's at 210 to 220, it's the perfect natural weight, because the bottom line is He's still able to move around the ring. He was able to maintain his speed and lateral quickness, and he still got that raw animalistic power. You know what I mean? So leading up into the fight, I thought that he would get him out of there within the first 3 rounds. I nearly took a nap in watching it, and thank God I did not. But I did not. And watching the fight, it was pretty much crystal clear that Robert Helenius was trying to lean over on the ropes and try to trap Wilder towards the ropes. And when Wilder hit him with that short, quick right hand, boom, night time. Just literally shut Helenius' systems completely out. And you know what the worst part was? He didn't even land. He didn't even extend on the punch. Normally, when Wilder knocks people out, he has his full arm stretched out where he gets the most leverage and the most power. It was a short, quick right hand that pretty much knocked him out. It reminded me a lot of the Arthur Spilka fight when Arthur Spilka tried to move forward and try to hit him with the left, and then Wilder countered it with his right hand and pretty much knocked him senseless. That's exactly what I saw last night. And when Helenius, hit the canvas, it looked like he died. It was just the most brutal one-punch knockout I've seen this year. And this is what Wilder does. He is a beautiful knockout artist. And it was just it was just so impressive. And the one thing that really, touched me was after the fight. I watched the post-fight press conference afterwards, and he pretty much showed the human side in him, something that we've known for years, and maybe a lot of the casuals don't see, because all they see is just the brash, the humble, character, and also the knockout artist of who he is. But when he talked about, being the example for boxing, he touched upon Pritchard Colon. Now, for many people who don't know who Pritchard Colon is, Pritchard Colon was also another up and coming fighter in the super welterweight division. But sadly, his career, ended after a fight against Terrell Williams, which he, got hit so many times in the back of the head to the point where he suffered a very severe concussion, a severe head injury, which made him go into unconsciousness and got him into a coma for at least 221 days. And pretty much his brain stems got damaged so bad that now he's in a wheelchair and has to be taken care of by his parents for the rest of his life. When Wilder talked about that, he really got emotional about it, because he talked about how people don't understand how dangerous his sport is. And he wants them fighters, even if he doesn't like, to still be able to feed their families and still provide for them. And he talked about how Pritchard Colon should have been on the same trajectory as all the other, top name fighters. And unfortunately, he's not. He has to rely on, his parents to give him all the support that he needs. And they're still fighting in court to gain some of the financial damages from that fight. So looking back at that press conference, it really touched me how much character and how much love Wilder has for not just for the sport in general, but for the respect of his opponents. And so it was just another reminder of how great this man is. And I will say this for the haters too. Embrace him and respect him while he's still here. Because when the day comes that he finally hangs up the gloves and never fights again, don't come over here and pretend like you were a fan of him when you actually you were not. This is our generation's Muhammad Ali. Give him his respect while he's still here. He's giving you knockouts. He's giving you championship, title reigns. He's giving you great fights with Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz. This man is going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Give him his respect while he's still here. But overall, this entire weekend of boxing was just outstanding. I loved every single fight that was on the board. Also, congratulations to Alicia Baumgartner for her performance too as well. Salute to her as well. Just giving her some love there. But overall, it was this amazing weekend of boxing. And if you are still on the fence with boxing, this entire weekend should remind you how much the sport of boxing can be when everything is right and when we get the fights that we want. And so hopefully that this will help, convince the other fighters to make the best fights. Hopefully by the end of this year or by at the start of next year, we get Earl Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford. I'm still holding out on hope that fight can be made, but we'll see what happens. But overall, congratulations to Devin Haney, Claressa Shields, and Deontay Wilder. Fantastic performances, and this is what boxing is all about. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What you guys think of the entire weekend of boxing, and what do you think is going to happen moving forward? Yep, this is your boy Bill Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast, and I'm out. Peace.